What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we got some new Tamer cards to talk about from the new Digimon TCG. We haven't talked about new Tamer cards for quite a while, frankly. So consider me rather excited that today we get to do so. We got two new Tamer cards we can have a look at. We got a new red one, and I want to say a new blue one. But while we're here, Digimon need to do something about blue and purple cards. There needs to be some kind of symbol, because colorblind people like myself are going to really struggle. I've already shown you a blue level 7 in these videos lately, which was actually a purple level 7. I can't tell blue and purple apart. It is extremely difficult. And basically any decently colorblind person like myself is going to have the exact same problem. Can we have a solution, please? Pokemon have energy symbols, Final Fantasy have element symbols, so I would love something here. Shout out to David Crockett over on the Facebook group who has confirmed it is blue. So let's get rolling then with a little bit of a look at Sora. Now what we have here is a free cost Tamer, and on your turn, when your red Digimon attacks a player, not a Digimon, you may put this card to rest and add 2,000 power to that Digimon. So what you're doing here is you're adding an awful lot of power, but only when attacking a player. Now, obviously, when you're actually attacking the player, the amount of power you have doesn't matter. The second you attack the player with no security cards, you win. But here we're talking very much about attacking the player when there's a security card there, and essentially the beefier your Digimon is, the less likely it is that you will end up being destroyed by that security Digimon. If you've got an 8,000 power Digimon that comes up against an 8,000 power security card, you go down. But with a 2,000 power boost, you don't. Although, in a weird way, this is actually the anti-yellow Tamer from the starter decks. Because, of course, the yellow Tamer from the starter deck gives all of your security Digimon an extra 2,000 power. And this gives all of your Digimon an extra 2,000 power when attacking security Digimon, which is kind of interesting. And I do really like this card. I think it's a really good card. As a side note, the security skill lets you play it without paying the cost. Every single Tamer we've seen has that exact security skill. I assume that will be the case from now until the end of time. So, I like this, and I do think it's extremely useful. But then we need to ask the question, is it better than the alternatives? In a nutshell, in a vacuum, it's awesome. Because your Digimon are less likely to be destroyed by security Digimon, which means your Digimon are going to be around for longer, get extra security attacks, etc, etc, etc. But what are the alternatives? Well, over in the starter deck, we got a 2-cost Tamer that just gives all of your Digimon an extra 1,000 power on your turn. They just have an extra 1,000 power. Now, clearly 1,000 is less than 2,000, but similarly 2 cost is less than 3 cost, and it's generally an extra 1,000, not an extra 1,000 power, but only in this particular situation. And I don't know if I'm going to play Sora. I don't know if I can justify playing Sora when I've got another option here, which is cheaper and more versatile. Yes, in some situations, Sora is going to be better. No arguments there. But is that going to be often enough to really make me play the card? I honestly don't know if it's going to be. Now, heading over into New Evolution, we did have a 4-cost Red Tamer, which of course is actually more expensive. But at the start of your turn, if your memory is 2 or less, you put it to free. So if you've got 1 or 2 memory to start your turn, you instead go to free memory to start your turn. Now, this is important because even though it's a more expensive card to play, over the course of the game, it becomes quite likely that you'll actually end up with more memory. So in a roundabout way, it actually becomes a cheaper card to play, which means that this free cost might actually end up being the most expensive, weirdly. And it says that all of your red Digimon with 4 or more evolution sources get security attack +1. Well, security attack +1 is awesome. You take out 5 security cards, then you attack, you win the game. The more security cards you take out, the faster you take them out, the more likely you are to win the game. And I adore this. It is expensive. And to be clear, right, the new evolution tie is really here for evolution decks. If you're playing swarming decks or cheaper decks, or we're only going up to level 4 or 5 decks, it's probably not working. You probably don't want this. However, if you are playing an evolution deck, if you are playing level 6s or above, this gives you extra memory while giving you extra security attacks. And I think this might be better as well. I think this might be my least favourite. Certainly when I'm thinking about decks that I want to build, I like this less than the other two. But I think the important point here is we got choices. And that's kind of awesome. I love having choices. Having choices makes me happy. And there are still going to be plenty of times where you will want to play this if you really are playing a slightly weaker deck and you're going to be attacking lots of security. This can really help. The other thing that is super important to mention here, this stacks. And you can play multiples of them. So if you get 4 Sora out, which would be the maximum, all of your Digimon get an extra 8,000 power when attacking security, making them very unlikely to be destroyed. And at that point, I really like this. But I do think it becomes best when you're playing a weaker deck. Playing 3 or 4 of these, I'm not sure how realistic that is. I should stop at this point and give a massive shout out to the lovely Jason Snowjacks, who once again provided our translation. But moving over into blue, we've got Joe! And Joe is another free cost tamer. Probably shouldn't surprise you, right? The starter decks all had 2 cost tamers. New Evolution all had 4 cost tamers. Here come the free cost tamers. And on your turn, when your opponent's Digimon's evolution sources are discarded, you may put this tamer to rest and gain 1 memory. Extra memory is good, ladies and gentlemen. Extra memory is very good. And essentially, I mean, this is what blue decks do. We can even look at the blue tamer, whereby if your opponent has any Digimon without evolution sources, you gain an extra memory. So essentially, you get rid of that is only at the beginning of your turn, I should add. So if they don't have evolution sources, you get an extra memory with the starter deck Yamato Ishida, and if they do, you start getting rid of their evolution sources, and then Joe gives you extra memory. That could be kind of fun. We did also have the 2-cost Taichi. If you got a Digimon with Veedramon in its name, you may rest it and then either draw a card or give yourself an extra 1,000 power. So now, during your turn, you can have a tamer that gives you extra memory and a tamer that draws you extra cards. That's a pretty nice combination. While we're mentioning the blue tamers, we might as well mention the one from New Evolution. Again, it's got that same skill whereby if you start the turn with 1 or 2 memory, it goes to 3. And if you play a blue Digimon, you may rest this card to discard an evolution source on the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon. And then, of course, once that happens, you then rest Joe to give yourself an extra memory. The reason you put it to rest is to stop you using it over and over again. But again, there's nothing to stop you playing multiples of these and going, oh, I've discarded an evolution source. Rest Joe, get a memory, rest Joe, get a memory, rest Joe, get a memory, rest Joe, get a memory. And again, getting 4 of these into play at the same time is going to be extremely difficult. I'm not saying it's not. But I am saying that when you do get 4 into play, you're essentially gaining 4 memory every time you remove an evolution source. And that might well be worth it. I mean, just in the starter deck alone, we got the Gabumon and the Garurumon that when they attack, as inheritable skills, I should add, so when the Digimon that's evolved from them attacks, remove evolution sources. And then, of course, over in New Evolution, we got the, we got, this card amuses me, right? It was, It was Nail Crusher, and it's just discards all evolution sources from all of your opponent's Digimon. So essentially it's just, oh, you want to discard 1 or 2 evolution sources? How quaint. I don't know, it just really amuses me. So once again, we have an awful lot of options when it comes to blue Tamers. We actually have more options because we did get the promo Tamer as well. And it really depends what you're going for here. But the fact of the matter is, extra memory is often going to be good. I should remind you at this stage that the Ultra Force Veedramon has a skill whereby on your turn, when your blue Tamer is put to rest, you make this Digimon active, and when you put it to active, you gain 1 memory, though that is limited to once during your turn. So here, I mean, look, we've got the promo. The promo can put itself to rest and draw a card or give an extra 1,000 power. And obviously combos really nicely with Veedramon. But this is also another very, very strong option, because this, you put it to rest to gain a memory, and then you gain more memory while making yourself active. That is a strong combo. I don't think either of these Tamers are absolute must-play in every single deck. I think that's silly. But I do believe that both of these have the potential to be nuts, and in the right deck could just be absolutely silly. Just silly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a big fan, quite frankly. I'm a big fan of both of these. And yes, in the decks that I want to make, I might prefer other Tamers, but having a red Tamer that makes it way less likely you're going to be destroyed by security cards, and having a blue Tamer that's giving you extra memory, which is literally the resource you use to play the game, you cannot tell me that at the very least, there isn't a lot of potential there. But I would be excited to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.